Welcome to the Kunark leveling guide for the new TLPs, Teak and Tormax. This will work on pretty much anywhere, but I made it in preparation for Teak and Tormax. This focuses on having either a Dark Elf start in Neriak or some type of character, a human, that's going to be starting in Freeport. Now, this does not take into consideration if you have personas. If you have personas, this guide may not be really that relevant to you, as you can pretty much travel wherever you want with the personas. So this is for the East Freeport area, and the goal when starting on new TLP, since everything is going to be packed, is to move the least amount as possible to avoid traveling as much as possible and just stick to an area, even if it's subpar, and just level. There's been a lot of times where I go in hunt and in search of better leveling areas, and when I get there I realize that I have spent 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours getting to this area. So if I take my level 5 self, hitch a boat to the Ocean of Tears, and I'm trying to get maybe to Unrest, by the time I get there, if I just would have leveled in these subpar areas, maybe just in the Commonlands, I might be level 10, 11, 12. But what I'm saying to you is that travel will slow down your leveling experience to a certain extent if you are playing solo. Try to stay as close to home as possible, unless you have some type of high level support or other support to get you to areas where you're playing with friends. It would be the only exception. The goal of this guide is to get to the level 15-20 range, where then you can start doing dungeons, have an easier time traveling, have a little platinum, and be able to get to some of these different areas to finish your leveling experience. So having said that, I'm going to point out a few of my favorite areas. Alright, for the most part, when you start off in the Freeport, Neriak area, you're pretty much going to spend your time in that newbie zone, maybe in the Commonlands, randomly around killing things. If you do get a chance to group or have a friend or something like that, it's always worth coming to Befallen. The mobs in Befallen range in the front area here from 2 to say level 7, 8, but as you progress and get the higher levels, you can also come over here and come down this well back here. So these mobs here in this back area, up to level 12, 8, but then if you go down and into the very back area, the mobs genuinely go from level 8 up to, 18. A lot of them in the 13 to 16 range. It's a pretty good experience back there, but once you fall down, you most likely aren't going to get back up. So if you do jump down, you're going to want to have a way out. And again, that's if you're ready to do grouping or you're feeling brave, because this area can get pretty chaotic. I imagine that there will be a lot of instances of this, so it is definitely a good spot to come. Early on, once you get out of the newbie area, even starting as early as level 4 or 5, if you get a good group together, it's kind of a shit show up in the front, but if you get to the back area at the higher level, it kind of settles down into more of a campish area. But otherwise, it's a shit show. Grab what you can. In any instance in the front, there's not really camps. One other area you can check out, again, if you have a couple friends or some CC, is all along the North Commonlands. There's a bunch of these camps. So these are the Dervish Cutthroats, and this is a little bit higher ranges from level 10 to 13. This camp over here on the map, the Broken Claw, is pretty much between like 11 to 14 for levels. And then even further west, there's another orc camp up here. That's around levels 7, 8 to 10. And then also some of the orc camps are to the east are from 6 to 11, some mobs up to 13 way over here by the Nectuous Forest area. Camps in the north, all the orc bandit camps, definitely a good spot when you're leveled up out of the newbie area. Again, one of the larger orc camps in the area. Some name that show up on this map, which I can't really read. High Chief. Whatever the heck that is, another High Chief. If you're equal level range, or these are yellow and white to you, you're going to have a harder time pulling, as your aggro radius will be higher. So this is definitely, you're going to want to be careful pulling. You can always pull this camp out and just run out of aggro range if you're fast enough. And then try to have people pick stuff off or whatnot. But this is a pretty good sized camp up here. And another option you'll have starting in the Commons land is Nectuous Forest, which you're going to be competing with Dark Elves. But it gives you the option to do basically some of the starting areas of here if you so feel like it. And they also have some pretty decent orc camps in this area as well. Some of my more favorite beginning orc camps are here. Again, on the new TLP launch, you're pretty much going to be fighting with everybody everywhere. So it kind of is what it is. But this orc camp up here across the river, well, first there's one down here, the South Orc Camp. That one's usually less populated, has maybe 5 or 6 mobs spawn. The big ones you can do if you really get going is up here, these orc camps. Oh yeah, you'll have to swim across the river if you're low level. Don't run into these guards here at the bridge. See, they're even aggroing me. And this is a level 75, but this orc camp here is really popular. Over the hill. This is a good one. A lot of mobs here. And then if you were to clear that, across the way is a small orc camp. So if you say you cleared that, you can come back onto this side and get this orc camp, which is smaller spawn, but this is kind of a neat area here. And then obviously to the north you have the newbie area where most of the dark elves will be starting. We can also go into North Row, a little bit of a higher area, but they have the really popular fast respawn undead ruins over here, which is more than likely going to be camp. But if you can get a group and have people respect the spawns in that area, it's a pretty good spot to level. It's usually pretty camped because it's right outside the zone, and so if you do mess up, you can pretty much just run to the zone out, assuming you have any type of speed. But starting out, you really probably won't unless you have potions or something like that. But this ruins right here, these are some fast respawns. The only problem with this is the level range is freaking insane. It's almost like there's 2 different sets. It ranges from 4 to 10. I don't know if a level 11 or anything like that may spawn here. And then, of course, there's dervish camps and other things in this zone that you could do. They're smaller camps, so, you know, range around level 13. But the other thing that we can then do once you are done with this area is the very popular dock area in the southern desert row, which you'll have an infinite amount of gators, crocodiles, usually pretty heavy camps, but this will actually be able to get you to, you know, that level 15 level range where the game will actually start to begin for you and you'll have more options and be able to travel a little easier. The goal of the game is those first 15 levels. Once you have that, it opens up a lot more areas. So it's just right in South Row here, all these caimans, and the level range in this area is about level 11 to, I think there's even some 20s. There is a named in here that might be 23 or 26, I can't remember. But up and down this whole dock area is where you could take your character, you know, up to level 20 if you want, 15 for sure. Just a very good area to level. And then at level 15, 20, you're going to unlock a lot more options and be able to travel a little bit further. But that's your beginning goal when starting out, assuming that you're not going to be using personas or anything like that to travel. And then for dark elves or anybody that wants to travel up to Lava Storm Mountains, you have the same type of thing. Right away there's some drakes that I think are level 10 to 15, and then the northern area gets up into the 20s, I believe. So that's also another good area to get yourself to the level 15-20 range. Once you're level 15, you can start to head out to like High Pass, Hold, and some of those other areas and start leveling, or catch a ride to the other continents and such. But really, as you're starting out, you don't want to move too far, because if you waste a lot of time traveling, just staying in a subpar spot instead for those hours in leveling, you may find yourself acquiring levels slowly to the point where the area you're trying to get to across the map would have no longer been applicable, because you've already out leveled it, which would solve your problems in the first place without having to travel. The other thing I want to talk about is the Kunark leveling guide that I made off my website, everquestguides.com. When I made this, I actually went zone by zone to check out as many camps as I could. I think there's like 130 or maybe 200 camps in this one. It's a lot of camps, all the way up to level 60. This is the Runes of Kunark version. You can sort by minimum level, maximum level. You can go by zone. There's descriptions, camp size, respawn time, and then the popularity is based off pretty much that first month of, say, the Runes of Kunark being released. So you can see like Field of Bone is going to be a 7 out of 10, and Befallen's a 3, but this was assuming that it released in Classic. Since releasing in Kunark right away, these popularity ratings are going to be probably wrong by quite a bit. I imagine Befallen will probably be like a 10. Black Burial's going to be packed like a 10. But if you were to check the Classic guide, those would be 10s. But this is the first time I think they released at Runes of Kunark. So if you're looking for additional spots besides the ones in the guide, they're all pretty much in here. If there is some type of camp that you feel should be added, it will definitely add that. But you can see center orc camp along the north wall, levels 8 to 10 for ranges, 1 to 5 mobs, approximately 2.5 minute spawn time. Nectilus Forest, northwestern orc camp, that's that big one that that I showed you, 11 to 15 mobs, 5 minute spawn time. And that's popularity is going to be wrong in this guide, because I said it was made assuming that the Classic had already been out and Runes of Kunark is launching. So these are not Kunark zones, therefore they're going to be less popular, and everybody should have been level 50 anyways when Kunark came out. But all the camps are in here, so if there's something else you want to check out that you didn't like in the areas I recommended, or you're going to travel to a different continent, anything, it's all in here. It was pretty thorough. I went literally zone by zone and checked all the level ranges of all the camps I could find possible. It took quite a while to do, which is why I only have Up the Valius done. I did not do Luckland, but maybe this time around I will get this ready. I mainly focused on the power leveling off this website. So, and you can check out the power leveling stuff. I have Unrest 1 through 15, Castle Mistborn 20, 35, Soleil is a 15 and 25 alternative. Then we got City of Mist, Lower Guk, Howling Stones if you can get the key, and then Chardok. And you can see if we go to the Classic, it was Unrest, Soleil, Castle Mistborn as an in-betweener option here. Lower Guk and the Hole, those are all going to be still good zones and still zones you're going to level to. Like I said, the point of this initial leveling is to get to the level 15, 25 area, and then you can head to a lot of dungeons and spend a lot of time in there leveling. When you start out on fresh TLP, you want to move the least amount as possible while leveling, because if you spend an hour or two traveling, thinking that you're going to find a better spot to level faster, you have to take into consideration that if you just stayed where you were for an hour or two, what level would you be, even if it's subpar to the area you could be going to. I don't have a whole lot on regular leveling because, like I said, I'm a boxer. A lot of you watching this are probably boxers. One tip I do have is that if you are going to box, it may actually be easier to get yourself into a group. And then as people leave, say you found someone, and replace the people that leave with your boxed characters. Essentially, you can take over camps in this fashion, and it starts with just having a necessary class like a tank or a healer. Get them in the group, keep everybody nearby, and slowly swap all of your characters in. And that may be the best way to get camps so that you're not trying to hurry up and pick instances to try to ninja down to a camp. That may be difficult, trying to move that many characters that fast to grab a camp. Otherwise, check out this Everquest Kunark power leveling guide if you're interested in seeing how I power level. And additionally, the Red Wine Quest does work on TLPs, at least it did in Mischief. You can go from level 1 to 15 in 5 minutes for 2,000 platinum. A lot of us won't have 2,000 platinum, but if at some point you do come across that amount and can afford to do the Red Wine Quest, it will definitely expedite the leveling process. So check out that video here.